you want to make your writing more original, you need to create more diverse characters. First, here's a simple routine. On a daily basis, write 2 new characters. Define their goal, their 2 main weaknesses, and their 2 main strengths. 1 goal and 4 behavior traits are sufficient when it comes to creating a full character, but you can add quirks to this character if you want to as well. Then imagine a dialogue between these 2 characters. First, focus on the issue. What are the stakes in the scene and how should it resolve? Imagine the reactions of the character. Imagine the sensations of the character and the position they put themselves into. Are they in a situation of comfort or in a situation of crisis? It all depends on their perspective. Then imagine the setting in which they have this dialogue. And it is not only a dialogue, it can be any type of scene, but the scene will be supported by the dialogue part. When you're developing your setting, put the atmosphere first in your story, and then put the emphasis on the different features, the different quirks of the setting. The easiest way to do so is to focus on the forms and the colors. Then once you define the setting, return to the dialogue, reimagine the dialogue, and add descriptive elements regarding the setting in which the characters are. How does it influence the issue? How does it impact the stakes? And how does it impact the resolution of the scene? Finally, you want to imagine the impact of the setting, the impact of the dialogue, the impact of the scene in general on the characters' relationship. Relationships are the crux of your story. They're the element which will allow you to develop emotional attachment, and emotional attachment is your end goal. In order to make your writing more original, you want to be as versatile and polyvalent as possible. In order to do so, you want to try as many genres and frame as you can. You can start with these 4 basic genres: action, adventure, drama, and horror. You probably already have a subjective opinion or perspective on these 4 genres, and it will help you to establish a hierarchy between them. We want you to classify these 4 genres by degree of difficulty, enjoyment, understanding, and growth. As you may see in this very example, we already have a colorimetric association. Now it's up to you. Let's suppose, as for one example, that you consider that adventure is the most difficult genre. You want to follow a clockwise logic and indicate that adventure is the most difficult genre for you. Then maybe the second most difficult genre would be drama. Then maybe it would be horror. And then maybe the easiest genre for you would be action. And you can do the same for each part of this example. You can get to the enjoyment category. Maybe because action is the genre with which you have the most, which is the easiest for you, you have the most enjoyment with. But maybe it's not the logic you're using. Maybe you enjoy, for example, horror more, and you want to develop yourself in it and make it more easy for you. Or maybe you enjoy drama more, but you have a very low understanding of it. So same logic for everything else. Maybe action is the easiest genre for you, so there are the chances are high that action is the genre that you understand the most. But maybe you also have a very good intuition when it comes to action. So action may not be the genre that you understand the most. Maybe it is horror in this very situation. Same thing for growth. as you consider, and again, the reasoning is subjective. All that matter is that you establish a hierarchy between these four genres in order to see where you need to write more, which kind of story you need to write more, and also consider the very fact that you will combine genre in a single story. So maybe because adventure is the most difficult genre for you, you may consider that it is the genre that you have the most to grow on. This is the genre that will develop your writing skills the most. But maybe it's not the case. Maybe the very fact that drama is in a half position. You know, it's not the genre you understand the most, but at the same time, it's not the most difficult genre for you. And maybe it's the genre that will help you as an individual the most. Then it's action, because you've developed a certain degree of affinity in it, and it also depends directly on your degree of enjoyment. You see, this hierarchy are totally dependent on you, and what matters is that you develop them in order to know where you want to write more and where you need to write more. In order to make your writing more original, you want to meet and speak to different people. Different from you, but also different from each other. You want to meet people you will disagree with, and you want to put the emphasis on the reason why you disagree with them. So if you can, try to find multiple people with whom you disagree, or a single person with who you disagree on multiple subjects, on multiple topics, because each of these topics could be the subject of a singular story. Each of these disagreements could make for a strong dialogue. Try to find someone with which you agree on the goal, on the end goal, on the final result of a specific procedure, of a process, of a product or a project, but who you disagree with on the motivation. Now, this person will help you to develop your empathy when it comes to cooperation, because you can to some degree cooperate with this person because you pursue the same goal as her, but you can't understand her motivation. So sharing information, sharing intelligence, and sharing resources with this person will be much more easy than with the person you disagree with. Then find someone you want to be like, partially. Someone you tend to imitate while you watch. Someone that has desirable trait for you, but someone which is difficult to understand still. You want to be like this person, but you may not know why you want to be like this person. But just the very fact of imitating this person is satisfying for you. So that's sufficient for now. Finally, you want to find someone as otherworldly as possible. You want to find a person which that could be an animal, that could be your pet. You want to find a living thing, a creature that's as farly removed from your way of thinking. You do not necessarily to disagree. You didn't necessarily want to disagree with this entity, with this individual. That's not the point here. You want someone or something, again, can be an animal, which you can't understand at all. The frames of reference should be completely alien. The final way to make your writing more original is to write for friends. Try to find 4 different type of friends and ask them for an order. They'll order you a story. So their demands as their personality and their goals are different, will be different. So for the first friend, ask her what are the most important things for her, what are the most important elements of her life. If you can't translate that directly into themes, if she can't translate that directly into themes, try to find the concept which is the closest. You need to be as close as possible as what this person wants. then trying to find main characters which would embody her 4 main personality traits. Ask her for the settings, the environments in which she is most comfortable, as well as the setting in which she is less comfortable. And finally, ask her to describe an ideal world for her. You'll do the same for your 4 friends. Now, you also want to focus on the transition between what your friends ask you to do for them, or the transition between these stories, because now you're writing these 4 different stories. You might be enticed to think of these 4 stories either as a global story, and you're gonna synthesize these 4 stories into one large one, or you can write a series with each friend representing a new episode of this series. Here, the internal synergy between the themes, the characters, the setting, and the world is just as important as the external synergy. So the synergy between the 4 stories. So you want to establish these 4 synergies, even if you consider that these 4 stories should not have a direct continuity. So you want to find 4 friends. You want to ask them who they are, what they would want to be, where they would want to live, and why they would want all of these elements. These 4 questions will allow you to make 4 personalized stories. Once you've got these 4 personalized stories, you look for the synergies between them. Suggest us the content you need. This channel is made for you.